Hello and welcome to Bread of Life, a daily devotional program which each week features a different area pastor. Our speaker for this week is Pastor Adam Soderberg of Hartford.
On the Bread of Life this week, we're looking at one of the most difficult issues we face in life: how to deal with the reality of illness or disability. Using the text of the man born blind in John chapter 9, we left off yesterday with the disciples asking if the man's blindness was due to his sin or his parents' sins. Why would we even think that? It comes from the second commandment, where God says in Exodus 20, verse 5, "I lay the sins of the parents upon their children, the entire family is affected." It would seem the disciples have a valid question, but we have to look at the context beginning in verse 4 and keep reading. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even children in the third and fourth generations of those who reject me. You see, the consequences of the parents' sins are directly linked to those who reject God by worshiping idols. Meaning, if my Swedish great-great-great-grandpa Soderberg walked away from the Lord to worship Thor, hoping to get into Valhalla, then his son would probably have been a pagan too, as well as his son, and his son, who is my dad, and maybe even me. That's what God is saying, that the decisions we make today have influence far beyond our lifetime, that our faith journey can affect our children, even to the third and fourth generation. Jesus replies to the disciples' question in John 9, verses 3 through 7. "It was not because of his sins or his parents' sins," Jesus answered. "This happened so the power of God could be seen in him. We must quickly carry out the tasks assigned us by the one who sent us. The night is coming, and then no one can work. But while I am here in the world, I am the light of the world." Then he spit on the ground, made mud with the saliva, and spread the mud over the blind man's eyes. He told him, "Go wash yourself in the pool of Siloam." Siloam means sent. So the man went and washed and came back seeing. Now, why was this man born blind to begin with? Good question. I do so wish I had the answer to that hardest of questions: why do bad things happen to good people? But I do not. All I know is that we live in a fallen world, and that Jesus said in his Sermon on the Mount that God gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust alike. That means good is not always rewarded, and bad is not always punished. In a fallen world, good people sometimes suffer. The truth, God took all of our suffering away whenever we asked. We would follow him simply for our own comfort and convenience, not out of love and devotion. Now, I don't know how or what you may be struggling with, but here Jesus uses this man's circumstances to teach about faith and to glorify God. I know it may seem obvious, but have you ever considered that Jesus could not have restored this man's sight if he had not been born blind to begin with? It's true. The blind man was an important part of God's plan, just as you are an important part of God's plan. Think of it like being a news reporter. We don't know where the story will lead or what we'll find when we get there. We're just on assignment. Do you know what your assignment is? We'll start looking for it tomorrow on the Bread of Life, right here on 104.9 WIHS.
You've been listening to Pastor Adam Soderberg of Hartford, our speaker for this week on Bread of Life, a program to encourage you from God's Word.